Moment, a prison officer in the UK has been arrested after this video, and we're only going to give you 10 seconds because after that they smashing asses in here. Now, the video and others were shared of her having sex with an inmate. According to the Metropolitan Police, they didn't have to go far to find her because she was already in custody after being arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. We have with us here tonight to talk about this. See how we had to stop it? Devil is busy. We have with us Constable Herschel Smith and formerly incarcerated individual Augusta Williams Jr. So Augusta, and I chatted with you just a second before we started this interview. Had you ever, first of all, your thoughts on this? Because she knows the camera is rolling on her while she's having sex with an inmate. And she's like,
Well, just like it's in...
That ain't quite the same sound.
It's an unspoken duty among inmates to protect one another, information, acts. And it's the same thing with officers because officers like inmates become institutionalized. So officers protect one another, which is rightfully so, but it takes away the integrity of the institution because I don't want to tell on my fellow officer, right?
Right.
Same way inmates, we don't tell on one another. So with that pattern, officers do a lot of things, break policy, sometimes criminal acts, and they're so comfortable like she was because I know my kind got me. Everybody with a badge got me. So that creates that system and that pattern where they do what they want to do and it's comfortable.
Now, when you were behind bars, did you ever see anything like this where officers would have sex with inmates?
I've saw it several times. So in broom closets, laundry departments, kitchens, anywhere where there's blind spots from the cameras, lookouts. I've seen it several times over 8 years. So it happens quite often in the system.
And Constable Smith, you wouldn't be shocked by any of this.
No, I wouldn't be. First of all, I worked for the prison system for several years, so I didn't see anything in my own eyesight. I heard things that happened, but you know, a lot of times it happened in closet, closed environment where very few people go, but there's contracts all the time with inmates and correction officers, and it depends on who the supervisors are, you know. So a lot of times it's a lot of buddy stuff that goes on in the prison system, and when you buddy with people, you know, I myself, I was one of the one of the most hated guys that worked for the prison system.
You didn't want no friends.
Right. You know, I had friends. I had friends. I had friends, but I didn't want friends that was going to get me in trouble, and so I stayed away from those kind of correction officers. I already knew who was in contract, and so being in contract with those kind of individuals, all they're going to reflect back on me, so I stayed away from it. But when I was reporting things to the warden, he didn't want to hear certain things.
Right,
you know?
right.
But the warden run his prison, you know, and you know, just certain things you try to say to unfold things, but most of the time they was close with the warden, the major, the captain, and they got away with it.
Now, a lot of times stuff like this is titillating, we'll laugh at it, but it's a breakdown of the system, and it can cause bigger problems, right? And
Most
that's to both of you.
Most definitely, you know. And you know, when I was working for prison, I was more of an activist than anything else working in the prison because I saw so much stuff, and I reported things. I wrote grievance and things like that. And the more officers that stand up for what is right, they are the ones that have more trouble than anybody else.
But it's because it's even above the warden, you know. So a lot of cities, a lot of states and countries are understaffed. You know that.
Yeah.
So we're 40–50% understaffed with officers. Then I can't afford to scrutinize you. I can't afford to hold you accountable because if 20% of y'all doing wrong, I'm losing 100 officers, right? So sometimes they have to let it overlook it because we have nobody to run the prison. So
is that unfortunate, Constable Smith?
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but you know, it's the same thing that happened in the county jails. You know, you got billing tenders. The billing tenders back in the day, that was one of the biggest lawsuits that happened in the state of Texas with prison. And when you have billing tenders was the big black guys, the toughest white guys, the biggest ones, the toughest one. They would run the tank, and so they would control things for the correction officer, and the correction officer just let him do his thing. And that's why things happen, the contracts and things and all the illegal stuff that take place. It's an organized gang within the prison.
And how much damage, from your perspective, do these individuals, in the last 30 seconds we have here, they do when they are having sex with inmates and they're under that inmate's control, essentially?
Well, the sex in itself, I don't think does a lot of damage, but the system as a whole.
But I mean, to get that sex, you're willing to.
Yeah. So when you have those kind of connections with officers and inmates, you create a dangerous, a hostile environment, because when we're getting resources, contraband in, or things are being overlooked, that means people are in danger. We have more contraband, it's dangerous. So.
All right, we want to thank you both for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored. We'll be right back. Stay with us.